Good evening. Welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop on Wednesdays now. How are you? What you doing? What you drinking? Of course, I'm with my Techie Joe. How are you, baby?
I'm doing okay. How are you this evening?
Oh, evil, malicious, overly non-compliant. What other terms can we drag up for me just being somebody's pain in the ass today?
I don't know. But keep listing them. I'm quite interested to hear more.
I know. Anyhow.
Hey, Brenda.
Hello, Brenda. How are you, darlings?
Yes.
Yes. That's not what I wanted to do. Anyhow.
Oopsies.
Yes, welcome to me living in multiple worlds at multiple times. Yes, it has been a week. I got my shots on Monday. We are good for another quarter. We're going to up the physical game. Um, we've seen how much we can push Joe to.
Yep, about 700 miles in 5 days.
Yep.
That's when the Joe back goes into spasm, and we have to start canceling appointments.
Yes. So at least now I know how many miles I need to program for my tour if I go on tour again.
And yes, Brenda, exactly. Maleficent.
Thank you.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
But yeah, no, your tour is limited to 700 miles. Well, now it's not just the 700 miles; it's
Mm-hmm.
the and sitting in the car,
Yep.
like the yeah, because that was all day Tuesday.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. Like maybe we need to find you out. I don't know. At least it's now in a more, like it's not backwoods alley woods anymore. So maybe we can have you just kind of go find places to scamper and check out because there's some lovely art galleries, some beautiful jewelry stores, some florists there.
yeah, yeah. No, well, but the one thing there isn't in Buchanan, at least that I could not find. I struggle to find anywhere to take your mom to lunch. Like she did a whole she hadn't had anything to eat or drink since midnight. Oh,
Hmm.
well, excuse me. She had her like cup of black coffee that morning.
Hmm.
And so her appointment wasn't until
Right.
2 p.m.
Hmm.
And yeah, so when she got out of there, like she was so ready to eat. And I kept thinking, well, we'll find something, but it was not one of those options.
Yeah.
Like we were looking around and I'm like, there's not Cracker Barrel. Like that's her big one is like Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, Brenda says Joe, back to our grandparents' wooden beads car seat covers. Oh God, please no.
Ooh, nice.
No, I like that's a torture device as far as I'm concerned.
All right.
Like nope, nope, nope. I wish we could go back to the big bench seat.
Oh, that would be great. I miss a nice bench seat. They're so much more practical.
I'm kinda down for a big bench seat.
I'm down for a three-seater that you look out the back.
What?
You don't remember the back seat of the wagon and it would flip up and you actually looked out the back?
Yeah, the third row.
Right.
The mysterious third row. Yeah. I mean that could be a thing, but I think there's a height limit on those
Mm-hmm.
where it quickly goes. It's sort of like the back seat of a two door. Is
Mm-hmm.
everyone has fond memories of the back seat of a two door until they turn about 40. And
Who
then they
rides in the
have,
back seat of a two-door?
well, see, but here's what happens is when you're a little kid and even a teenager, getting in that back seat, not a problem.
Right.
Somewhere north of 40, I've already
Right.
been told this, somewhere north of 40, you're going to attempt to get in the back seat of a two door, and in's not a problem. Out becomes the issue. Like you suddenly find out you don't bend that way anymore. That's what I've been told. This is what I've been told. I haven't had a chance to test it. I will grant the world credit. There are less two-doors in the world, at least
Right.
two-doors in my world. But yeah, I'm kind of waiting for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've already seen it's going to happen. It will
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
Is that it all seems like a good plan, and you remember this being easy, and it's like, no, apparently that was built on like the flexibility and lack of pain of youth.
No,
So
honey.
it's,
I'm looking at you and going, why would anything go in the back seat of a two-door unless it's my purse?
some people didn't have options.
Okay. That is the purse holder. That is the, overnight bag holder. That is where you stuff a suitcase at. And if you need stuff, you don't put a human back there unless they're like 4 foot, and I don't have that. No, because everyone I know would drive.
See, I went the other way. Everyone I knew in college didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went from a two-door to a four-door to a two-door
Mm-hmm.
during that period.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I ended up actually, it was funny, the night of Pride Prom. We had a whole debate because we decided, because there were four of us, two of us didn't drive,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a choice between my car, a two-door, and how do we do this in the truck of the other driving friend, little Chevy S10,
Mm-hmm.
two-door. There is no back seat in that. Just
Right.
spoiler alert if no one remembers. Like, how are we going to fit four people in that? So we had to take my car. Then we had the sudden realization that crawling into the back seat is not a very easy thing to do in a dress,
Right.
especially for those who don't often wear them. Like, this was one of those friends. It's not often wear a dress. It was been a while. So yeah, ended up driving my car. And yeah, it was interesting. Like, that was a little funny getting in and out then.
Mm-hmm.
Though I will say the worst part of that night, and may have contributed to my future neck issues, what was the moment known as the speed bump, because my friend did not pay attention to the fact that she was about to go over a really large speed bump. Because
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina back then, the ginormous speed hump.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a speed bump. It's not a
speed
few
hump.
inches wide. It's like a foot and a half or more
Right.
of speed hump. Yeah, hit it at full speed. I still remember my head slamming into the roof of the car, and I was like, never again. I'm never riding in my own back seat again.
No.
It'll never happen.
Well, again.
I wouldn't have put it past my friend to have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would have been pretty much like on brand for them. To redneck it, friend threw a small couch in the bed of the truck for the drive-in. Yeah, that would have been on brand. Just hadn't occurred.
Right.
Had not occurred. But would have been perfectly on brand.
Yes. But, here's the thing with those. Like, I hated them because that wasn't a really, I didn't really care for the speed bumps in North Carolina. I also didn't care that they put them on streets that had minimal speed limits.
Well, but here's the problem with the South, and certain flatland areas, is most of the roads are straight lines.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a large part of the North Carolina speed hump issue.
Right.
Is you have these low speed roads
Mm-hmm.
in a perfectly straight line. There are no curbs,
Mm-hmm.
or there are no curves. There is no banking. There's no elevation change. People will treat it like a drag strip.
Right.
Every single time. So if you do not go through, and they do not care about a speed bump.
No.
That's adorable.
Right.
That you think they care about a speed bump. They will shoot over that at 70 miles an hour and just don't care.
Right.
So they started doing the speed hump,
Right.
which, I mean, your mileage may vary, can give you a Dukes of Hazzard yeehaw moment.
Right.
As long as you're in something with enough ground clearance. Otherwise, it's a shop repair bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you're in a lower, like if you're doing the whole like Honda Civic, you know, Pet
Right.
My Ride mobile with that's got the sports tuning and all that on it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna go to the mechanic after that.
Yeah.
Like you get hit.
Right.
Like it'll cost you money.
Right.
So
And,
yeah, no, that's why North Carolina had the speed humps.
yeah.
Why a fair number of areas have done the speed humps. Everyone hates them. No one likes them.
Right. You know, and it's one of those. It's kind of like things you do not like about some roads. All right. So let's kind of dig in here. We are on a time crunch. We will be wrapping up at exactly 9:30 EST.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. So Google's Android decision, bad news for all Samsung and Pixel users. So yeah, Google has an awkward Android problem that has just been highlighted. The AI space race between Google and Samsung and between Android and iPhone has exposed long-standing issues that need to be addressed, issues buried within Android's core. Google continues to narrow the gap to iPhone with Android 15 and the forthcoming Android 16, bringing security and privacy upgrades. And while Samsung owners have endured a frustrating wait for their upgrade, this is now imminent, and it seems Android 16 will be handled differently. But there's one awkward black hole that remains: hidden tracking that's impossible to stop. This is bad news for all Android users, but especially for Galaxy and Pixel users buying handsets with on-device privacy built in. The issue is the old versus the new. You will have noticed that AI announcements from both Google and Samsung stress on-device privacy-preserving processing when touting new features. Google's latest scam detection, quote, protects your privacy by processing everything on device, and even its controversial new photo scanning, quote, is done on device, and all of the images or specific results and warnings are private to the user.
Mm-hmm.
Samsung, which pushed hybrid AI before Google, goes further. Galaxy's approach to AI personalization, it says, from the launch of Samsung's first AI phone to our continuous innovation on innovation of on-device AI, is to never compromise on privacy. That's the new, but then we come to the old. As I reported earlier this month, and this is the author of the article. So as I reported earlier this month, a study published by Trinity College Dublin has exposed Google's decision to track Android phones through cookies, identifiers, and other data that Google silently stores on Android handsets through the default apps that are pre-installed. This happens despite there being no consent sought for storing any of this data and no opt-out. There's a legal dimension to this tracking, which the research team has been exposed, says has been exposed for the first time in their report. This, they say, is a wake-up call for data regulators to start properly protecting users of Android phones. Google did respond on this legal point, telling me the researcher acknowledges in the report that they are not legally qualified, and we do not agree with their legal analysis. User privacy is a top priority for Android, and we are committed to complying with all applicable privacy laws and regulations. But on the substance of the tracking, the Trinity team says it, quote, informed Google of our findings and delayed publication to allow them to respond. They gave a brief response stating that they would not comment on the legal aspects. They were not asked to comment on these. They did point out any errors or misstatements, which they were asked to comment on. Oh, excuse me. They did not point out any errors or misstatements, which they were asked to comment on. They did not respond to our question about whether they plan to make any changes to the cookies, etc., stored by their software.
Right. And this is something we have talked about a lot in the industry. In the psychic industry, there's lovely cookies that track shit, and we call them tokens. Well, and it's like, get rid of your token.
Yeah, well, and that has more to do with like remembering and basically continuous authentication for a session. Within those. Now, within the networks, at least as an advisor, I don't know if they're doing the same tracking, like if they have that kind of command. But at least on the advisor side, we've pretty much identified that they're doing a lot of system tracking for activity and availability and network performance and on and on and on. And it'd be kind of funny if it actually all did like something useful, but it mostly just says send me calls, don't send me calls.
But then I've been here for 4 hours.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's a weird system. But I don't know if it's doing the same thing for non-advisors. I don't know if they have that same control.
See, and this is that algorithmic things that they keep talking about, and I'm like, someone explain to me exactly why Facebook knows that I am looking for new garden plants when I have just talked about this on the phone through a text message with 2 other gardeners.
And that's been a thing recently as well, is that like, oh, surprise.
Yeah.
Apparently a lot of our devices have been listening and transmitting data, even though we were told, no, they don't.
Yeah, right.
The world kind of went, yeah, I don't believe that for a second. Only to find out later, you were right. You were bad. We sold targeted ads based on conversational topics.
Yeah, and this is also why it's highly awesomely important that you turn off your devices, that you clean your devices, that you restart your devices, that you turn off your devices if you're shifting areas.
So yeah, no, I like that part's important. I'm really starting to get to a point though that I don't know if it matters anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we so many within the tech field have tried to push for better privacy. So many people have argued the point, well, if you don't have anything to hide, then it doesn't matter. And that seems to have been the adopted slogan of any kind or approach to consumer privacy. Is, well, if you don't have anything to hide, you don't have, it's not a problem. And that's how companies have been given this kind of carte blanche to go do whatever they want. I think some of that is just lack of understanding. And a lot of bluffing and probably, let's just call it what it is. It's a bribe. Promises of consultancy gigs and, advisor positions. And we didn't pay you for this. We paid your totally not qualified spouse. Blah, blah, blah. It's a bribe, basically.
Yes.
To lobby and support for or against any kind of legislation that would meaningfully protect American consumer privacy. Like it's all we've seen. I think it's a mixture of those two, because it just doesn't seem to resonate to the idea or to anyone. Seemingly, the importance of just having the ability to have a conversation without being sold a fucking product.
Right.
Like, can we just not?
Right.
Like, there was a little bit of a push, and I don't even know if anyone's like, it was a hot minute that everyone cared about SIPSA.
Right.
Um, and child advertising free childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So you weren't collecting data on minors, especially those under 13, and you weren't targeting differentiated product at them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you could do a generic ad to anyone,
Mm-hmm.
but you couldn't specifically target someone who is
Mm-hmm.
of this age group, someone is, and then specifically use marketing tactics that would push them.
Right.
Like, we had that minute. I felt like that minute was like the beginning of a good thing,
Right.
poorly executed, and then it seems like, or feels like, then suddenly no one cared.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay, so now we just don't even care about kids.
Right.
Like, and we're seeing that bear out
Right.
in current legislative pushes, is like, we really don't care about kids. We'll use the think about the children all we can to make an emotional appeal for why we should support or not this piece of legislation. But at the end of the day, no one cares about kids.
Right. And we see that over and over again, them misusing that and using it for other things. And it's like, you either one or the other. You can't do both.
Yeah. Well, and more to me, like Brenda's has said, not doing anything wrong, but it's still creepy.
See, here's my thing, though. We pay for our cell phones. We pay for the service for the cell phones. We pay for the internet. But yet they're making more money over there on
Selling ads.
selling our data, selling our
Yeah.
ads.
And this is after. Like, stop and think about this for a second with me. Back in the day, you used to get this really subsidized phone,
Mm-hmm.
and the service
Mm-hmm.
commitment was supposed to
Right.
offset that subsidy. Okay, then they convinced us that that wasn't really working out. A lot of people were opening new lines and then taking the phone and canceling their contract and going to a cheaper provider or doing whatever.
Right.
And so slowly our subsidies were erased.
Mm-hmm.
But then we've turned around and it's now good luck, because there's hardly a software developer that is not
Right.
creating a paid game, advertising supported
Mm-hmm.
game, or application, or whatever you want to, whatever it is, whatever it's doing. It's an application ultimately, but mostly in games. Then you turn around and about every website you go to feels like it's doing an advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're advertised to all through social media.
Right.
And then
Right.
you're listening to us on our devices that you told us you weren't going to listen to us on,
Right.
to do more advertising.
Right.
I'm sorry, it sounds like a gold mine. If you want me to deal with this, I think I should be getting a free iPhone every 5 minutes that Apple drops one,
Yes.
because it seems like it has that kind of value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, doesn't it? Like, if you're going to sit here and just keep priming the pump on my purchases,
Mm-hmm.
and shoving ads in front of me and finding new and different ways to tell me this is the right product, or this is the right product, or you should buy this, you should buy that, you need this, you need that, you're going to monitor all my internet browsing behavior and target me with ads. You're going to pump me on social media to buy more shit.
Uh-huh.
Like, at what point, like, have I not paid for my device?
Right.
Through the never-ending litany of
Mm-hmm.
being told, choosy moms choose Jeff, or what the fuck ever.
Or, discuss with you the plans to move my office and open up Facebook, and here's an ad for a new desk. I don't need a new desk. I need someone with a hammer, nails, and a saw, Facebook. Show me
Right.
hammers, nails, saws, handymans.
You know, wait till later. Like, your mileage may vary on it, but that's what you're gonna get. Some
That works.
but no, I mean, it's just it's gotten to the point of not is it just creepy,
Mm-hmm.
but as a consumer, you really have to start to wonder: am I still making conscious decisions? Or am I just getting advertised and told repetitively that you're making the right choice? You know what I mean? Like you open Facebook and scroll through a fucking litany of ads that are all targeted,
Mm-hmm.
that are telling you, you know, do this, do that, buy this, buy that, buy this other thing. Are you interested
Right.
in this? Blah, 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 blah. Vote this way.
Right.
Then you turn around and like that data gets shared with every website you visit. It pops up, like it's popping up everywhere. You can't do anything without being redirected to either something you've searched, something you've talked about, and at least a tangential product to it.
Right.
Am I even making decisions as a consumer anymore?
Right.
Like, how much of this is just brain bleed?
Right.
The constant bombardment
Right.
doesn't just start to sink into your thinking and change the way that you behave.
Right.
Like, at what point? Again, if that's true, and I think there's merit to the argument, if you want to keep doing this, I think you should give me a free phone to do it on.
Right.
Like, if you're altering my natural behavior, if you're continuously at the level you're doing it at, because this is not like the 1950s and some billboard ads and ads in magazines, the buckshot approach of like, well, maybe you'll choose to buy our product or not.
Right.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, we can't even go set in a damn doctor's appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, patient point, or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
On the wall of the doctor's office, scrolling fucking ads all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. Try this. Have you heard of this medication?
Yeah. How to manage your diabetes, how to manage your arthritis, and it's like, and all the information sucks. Like, I've sat there and played with it and confused the hell out of it just because I'm ADHD and bored.
Well, but here's the bigger question. Is it getting data?
Probably.
Like, as in, is like, I have a serious question of, are you targeting buckshot? And like, well, there's a patient and there's high likelihood you probably have a recurrent condition if you're at the doctor's office. And, you know, if you don't have it, then someone you know does. So we'll just target towards things that affect people most commonly. Is that it? Or are you actually getting patient data? And then you're selectively targeting ads.
Right.
You don't know who the patient is, but maybe you get the top 3 diagnosis codes.
That would be interesting.
Like, I don't feel like I can trust that's not happening. I don't feel like I can trust that the proximity of my own device to the patient point. Is it doing a data exchange? Am I is sharing data with it so that it retargets? So it's taking the same shit that I could potentially see on my own device and throwing it up there. And the only limiter is we're looking for like general demographic information, and we're not just showing you things that are already appearing on your device, but we're getting general demographics data. Because we showed decades at this point ago, that the search algorithms could already reasonably predict a large amount of information about you.
Right.
That over time it had a pretty spot on accurate
Hmm.
amount of data about you.
Hmm.
You want me to believe in 2 decades that I can get better?
Right, but Brenda, you're an Apple user.
No, there is some of that with like iPhone. There can be some of that if you're
Right,
using some of the advanced privacy protection. Um, I do think in some instances maybe the algorithm just got confused,
right.
and I think a lot of it just goes forward.
Hmm.
And,
I wonder what the
broken
collusion
assumptions.
is going on with Google and the advertising and how much money they're making.
Yeah.
However, we got to swap. Let's dance. I think we need to dance over to this to Delta Air
Okay.
in this incident.
All right. So yeah, this is not going to be a fun one for anyone. Delta Airlines bans passenger after their service dog, in quotes, attacks blind man and his real service dog. All right. So, read the chilling story of Demetrius Constantinus Corneris, who flew on Delta Airlines to San Diego, thanks to YMMV for bringing the story to my knowledge. Then I'll offer my thoughts below. So this is a bit of a post. I need to share something that happened to Anza and me last night when we arrived in San Diego. Something that shook me to my core. Picture this: you've just landed, you're exhausted but filled with anticipation because this is a special moment. Your guide dog's puppy Razor is waiting to see him. Your heart is pounding, emotions swirling. You can't see, but you can feel the way Anza moves, the way his body shifts in the harness, the way he takes each step with purpose and confidence. You trust him completely. With the help of an airport assistant, you step off the plane, you grip Anza's harness handle and leash firmly in your left hand and give the forward command. He moves smoothly, guiding you up the jet bridge, calm, steady, absolutely in control. His training is second nature. This is what he was born to do. And then chaos. Before you even reach the main concourse, before you can get your bearings, an off leash dog comes out of nowhere, lunging straight at Anza and me. In an instant, it's charging, teeth bared, growling, barking, a full force attack. Your heart slams into your chest. You don't have time to think, only react. You hear the airport assistant gasp. With my left hand still gripping Anza's harness and leash, I drop the harness handle to free his movement while keeping hold of the leash. Instinct kicks in. I step directly between Anza and the attacking dog, arms out, body tense, forming a shield. 2 seconds, that's all it takes. The dog's owner finally grabs it, yanking it away, but in those 2 seconds, your world tilts, your hands are shaking. Your breath is ragged, your body is still locked in fight or flight, and Anza, your lifeline, your partner, stands by your side waiting for your next command. The reality of what just happened crashes down on you. You're furious, you're terrified, you're trembling with the weight of what could have been. Because here's the truth people don't seem to understand. If a service dog gets attacked, it can end their career. $70,000. That's the cost of the highly specialized training that makes a guide dog what they are. If that training is undone, if they are traumatized, injured, or afraid to work, that investment is lost. But more importantly, the independence, the safety, and the trust that a blind person has in their guide dog is shattered. Anza is trained for moments like this. He has worked through airports, city streets, and crowded spaces. He does not react. He does not panic. He is solid as a rock. But an untrained, uncontrolled dog, that's a different story. Every single time someone allows their dog to lunge at a service dog, to bark, to act aggressively, it's not just an unfortunate incident, it's a potential disaster. It puts the dog at risk, it puts the handler at risk, and it's entirely preventable. Delta took this seriously. They banned the owner from future flights, From what I was told, they falsely claimed their dog was a service dog, but we all know it was just an ESA, emotional support animal. And here's the thing. I'm grateful that Anza and I are okay, but that fear, that helplessness, that moment of pure gut-wrenching panic, that's something I'll never forget. People need to wake up. If you have a dog, keep it under control. If your dog is not trained for public environments, do not bring them into spaces where they can put working teams at risk. A guide dog is not a pet. A guide dog is freedom. Their eyes, our safety, are unwavering partners. And last night, for 2 horrifying seconds, I almost lost that.
Okay, let's dig into this, because the reason I want to dig into this is it annoys me. Really annoys me.
All right, Maria, we're gonna need a year.
And a date. Month, date, year.
Month, day, year would be great. And then an actual question would be wonderful. All right, so digging in on the guide dog story.
Yeah. Here's my big problem. This is becoming a very larger problem. You have emotional support animals. You have actual working guide dogs. No, that is not a date that would be accepted anywhere. Maria, not playing with you.
No, that was I'll put the date.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that is. That's not a date.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So they have emotional support animals, and I get the emotion. Believe me, Vlad was a wonderful emotional support animal, but he was well trained and well behaved. I would never go, oh, he's a service dog. Yeah. He probably could perform more acts of service than ever. If he could learn to shut a door, I would have been happy.
But he did learn to open one.
He learned to open one.
So, but yeah, not a trained service dog. Was
not a trained service dog.
Great
would
dog.
Never be great dog. But I would, and a lot of people thought he was a service dog, and I'm like, nope, he's not a service dog. Now my interactions with service dogs, they're amazing. They do amazing things. There was one that alerted not on just his owner, but alerted on me during class. All these fun things. But at the same page of this, we need some guidelines here. We need some boundaries. We need some, and not violating HIPAA.
Well, and that's been one of the biggest problems of trying to navigate the this is a service animal, this is not actually a service animal divide, is because fundamentally trying to protect those with service animals. And I want to be real clear. I'm not saying that non-service animals or emotional support animals are not valid. I will 100% agree that they provide a valid service to you.
Right.
The problem is they're not necessarily trained to deal with the rest of the world that isn't you.
Right.
Nor are you necessarily capable of handling them in a way that doesn't cause a problem for the rest of the world. So with that in mind, so with having a service animal like a seeing eye dog, you're trying to protect their like medical information and their need to not have to go into this like Gestapo-esque treatment at every turn.
Right.
Like it shouldn't be a problem at this level for someone with a seeing eye dog, someone who clearly has a service animal, who is clearly navigating the world, to have to stop, explain their condition, explain their animal and the functions it provides specifically, and produce paperwork that certifies this animal provides the services they explicitly say it provides. like, try to imagine, if you could,
Mm-hmm.
navigating the world from getting on this plane and having to prove all that,
Right.
getting off the plane, walking into the airport and having to prove all of that,
Right.
to exiting the airport and, I assume, getting an Uber, a cab, a something, potentially, and you have to prove that before you can get in.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to a hotel
Right.
and you have to do it all again.
Right.
Like, that,
But
it's not like that many people should not have to be told everything
exactly.
about you just for you to exist in a space. That's not freedom. That's a fucking hassle.
Right. But
So that was the idea. That was the idea.
mm-hmm.
What has unfortunately happened is co-opting off of service animals are emotional support animals.
Mm-hmm.
And their owners very much claiming, sort of like stolen valor,
Mm-hmm.
not exactly like stolen valor,
Right.
that the animal that they have, this pet
Right.
that provides a service to them,
Mm-hmm.
is the equivalent of
Right.
a actual trained certified service animal that is not just providing emotional support, which, again, I'm not saying this is unimportant. It is important.
Right.
The problem is trying to share space and navigate space, one, between the two animals, and between the support animal,
Right.
the emotional support animal, and everyone else.
Right.
Because a lot of owners are unfortunately taking some significant liberties and advantage of others
Mm-hmm.
and ruining their experiences and
Right.
causing them harm.
Right. So here's my idea. When they complete their school, they get the dog gets a state issued ID. No questions. It's just dog's name, dog's birthday, dog's paw print, service license.
Again, that kind of gets into, there's this used to be a very simple thing. You had
Mm-hmm.
working dog harnesses,
Yeah.
but then a lot of people bought the same harnesses
Mm-hmm.
for their animals.
Right.
With the licensing system you're talking about, you encounter two problems. Is this going to be a federal system?
Mm-hmm.
So we all have one standard, or so that people
Right.
have one standard license to understand, look for, and
Mm-hmm.
accept or reject.
Right.
But more to the point, um, how long until someone starts faking those as well? Like, this has been an arms race, because it seems like people with emotional support animals, and I don't mean all, I mean, but there's a
Mm-hmm.
there's a definitive group, don't seem to understand limits.
Right.
Like, they just don't care.
Right.
And again, I think these are often people that don't even need an emotional support animal to start with.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just put that out there. You hate me for it. Because I think there's a large group of people that do need an emotional support animal, that do respect others and don't pull stupid shit.
Right.
Like, I want to be clear. But there is a group that
Mm-hmm.
is die hard in the idea that
Mm-hmm.
this pet needs to be seen by the world as a service animal,
Right.
and they will stop at nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have gotten doctor's notes for them. They have done it all. They have
Mm-hmm.
bought the harnesses. They have sewn on the patches. They have, gotten people to make patches to sew on to the service dog vest.
Right.
It's relentless.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think giving them an ID is going to prevent anything. I think it's just one more annoying step.
Right.
Like, I don't get... One, I as much as you love your pet, as much as it brings you joy and comfort and all the other things, and again, I think there's a large group of people who don't pull this shit, but to this targeted group, get over yourself. Stay home. Leave home without it. No one needs to deal with your fighting, aggressive, angry, uncontrolled, unmanaged, shitting everywhere, biting people fucking mutt.
Right.
Like, untrained, uncivilized, barbarian, knuckle-dragging animal.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not...
Right.
That is not publicly acceptable. Please stop doing it.
Right.
Please stop creating problems for everyone.
Yes.
Especially for people who sincerely need
right.
the ability to navigate the world. That this is what their dog allows them to do at all. Like, that part just...
Right.
But,
all right. So I'm going to jump into the conversation and skip. I need to switch subjects because comment section. All right. So you have a problem giving your birthday, the full birthday, month, date, year. I'll even go euro. Day, month, year. Not a problem. You can book an on-demand appointment. Why do I say on-demand? Because it's international. I have clients on all 7 continents.
Mm-hmm. You will certify to them, or however that works for that network.
Yep.
And you'll be good to go.
Exactly.
Unless you call in, try to play Stump the Psychic, in which case, ooh, no, you won't be. Yep. Just FYI.
Exactly.
That's not the FAFO you want to fuck with.
No, not over at Bob's. That's the link. Feel free. I'll be on later tonight. You can click it. Go ahead and put a callback request in.
There you go. All righty. But yeah, so moving right along.
Right. All right. There we go. This one, is just going to creep into macro. So let's hop over here. Our next discussionary piece for tonight is, if you want happiness in your life, ask yourself 3 simple questions.
Mm-hmm. Gotta love NPR for this one.
Yes, NPR is bringing up some valid information, but I'm questioning their questions.
Oh.
Yeah, what is happening? What is feeling good all the time? What having a sunny disposition, feeling like you're where you want to be in life. People who want happiness often want people who want happier often think that what that means to say is, by several books, is, happier at home, happier at work, happier at projects, reading them, what makes you the happiest? People usually have a lot of clarity on answers. Making choices in what makes them happier in the long and short run moves you in the right direction. However, I'm questioning those 3 little questions, because a lot of people go, well, if I had a better job, I'd be happy. If I was married, I'd be happy. If my boyfriend remembered to cook dinner, I'd be happy. Yeah, those aren't 3 questions that she's talking about in this book.
I think trying to figure out happiness is not about asking, will this make me happy? Like, I don't think you can Marie Kondo your way through life.
No, because,
through your closet?
Yes.
Yes. Through life? Not so much.
Mm-mm.
Like, I think it's overly simplified.
Yeah. My thought is I think happiness has to be redefined for you. Example, today is one of my happiest days. Why? Because I'm reading. I instantly go into doing this podcast, and then I move over and do a show. Then I come back and I work the networks. While I'm doing the networks, I'm working and writing listening articles, and I'm bouncing everywhere. Most people go, "Oh my God, you're so stressed out."
Or they would be if they were doing it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is valid. Don't like, I don't knock that. That's a valid thing to sit there and be like, "Oh my God, that would kill me."
Yeah.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Not true for everyone.
No, that's like, me on the flow.
Yeah. Like, he's good. This is how it works.
Yeah.
But then contrasted with, like, I tend to be very, like, single line. If I'm doing two things at once, I don't really have to pay attention to one of them.
Right.
Like, it's I'll get to it.
Right.
You know, like, it doesn't, like,
right.
I'm just occasionally glancing over.
Mm-hmm.
That's my version of two things at once.
Yeah.
One of them has to be passive.
Yeah. And see, for me, you do something, and I'm just now learning how to do this. You sit down and watch TV.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm learning how to just sit down and watch TV. Normally, I'm watching TV, working on a project, thinking about a project, planning out a project.
See, now that's the funny part, is because that's sort of what I do while I'm watching TV. But it's not an active process. It's passive.
Right.
It's I'm watching this. I'm watching a very well thought out, hopefully well thought out TV show or movie that has very clear pathways through it of what's going to happen next and how we got from here to here.
Right.
And in turn, it's like it turns off my brain and the things that I would otherwise be actively thinking about. And so I'm paying attention to this, and then it's like things just start falling into place. And so the whole time I'm watching, I'm having little sparks of ideas of like, oh, maybe I need to do this way. And then we just kind of leave it alone. Like, oh, I'll think about that later.
Right.
And like literally I can sit and watch TV and work out problems. And for some problems, I have to watch a lot of television. Because it's a very, like, I have all the data. I know what I want to do or where it needs to go or what needs to occur. And the active process of trying to sit there and take all that in and make a snap decision, not happening.
Right.
Not happening.
Right.
I rely heavily on like shower thoughts that I have to totally let it go for a minute. And then it'll formulate on its own, and I know the answer.
Right. But that works for you. It doesn't for me. I'm very much like, when I got two monitors, I was in heaven because I wasn't overloading one. Now I'm beginning to think I might need three.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to have a wall. I figure it's where it's going to end up. There's going to be a wall.
Probably.
Just FYI, there's going to come a point where we literally have to upgrade the power for this house to support the technology.
Yes.
Just keep that in mind.
I know. Like, I want, like, and that's because my brain is in so many places.
Well, and for me, I kind of go the other way. Like, I do end up with multiple things like running. Like, I have things that complement each other, or it's the active passive.
Right.
Like, and I refuse to call it multitasking. Am I technically doing two things at once? Yes.
Yes.
Am I actively engaged in both of them? No. One of them is just kind of like keeping things running in my head and drawing occasional attention. The other is the thing I'm actually working on.
Right.
And I will frequently do that when something either is boring and repetitive as hell, but I have to actively work on it.
Right.
Or because otherwise I just start getting really sleepy while I'm doing it. or when it's I need to get to an answer faster.
Right.
I can work on parts of this
Mm-hmm.
actively, but then there's parts of this that I need my brain to like free float on.
Right.
So I'm paying active attention to what I'm doing, and then I'm getting the tickle.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, what 3 questions make you feel happy?
Oh, what what?
Yeah. Apparently, there's only 3 questions you need to ask to make yourself happy.
Okay, I still haven't found them in the article.
I know. I'm wanting, I think it's what do I need right now?
Okay.
What's the most important right now? And how do I get there?
Okay. I can follow those.
Yeah.
So basically this is the author's going, you need to figure out your own 3 questions.
Yeah. Find out your own 3 questions.
Okay. I think mine is frequently, if I do nothing else today,
Mm-hmm.
what's one thing?
Right.
That, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I had to defend the rest of my day
Right.
based on one thing, what can I do?
Right.
That's like, okay, you did something today.
Right.
That I could be like, no, really, I accomplished a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably my A1. Like, that's the one that usually starts my day.
Mm-hmm.
I frequently find myself doing the what can I do in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And that one usually challenges, like, if I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for the coffee pot to brew or water to boil or whatever, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck. I gotta
Right.
wait. Like, there's no point in leaving where I'm at to come back in 5 minutes or 2
Right.
minutes or whatever. Just taking a moment to look around and go, what can I do in 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
What could I accomplish in 5 minutes?
Right.
And sometimes it's going, can I even do that in 5 minutes? And it's like, okay, well, I'll do it for 5 minutes.
Right.
So at least I started it. At least I tried. I've learned that there's an interesting number of things that only take 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so fucking stupid.
Right.
The things that you literally can. And I don't mean you do them perfectly. I don't mean this is like above, like, and beyond all reproach. But you at least incrementally moved it.
Right.
In 5 minutes. Okay, cool. And then other things, it's like, that'll take forever. And it's like, what if I just did it for 5 minutes? Can I knock that out in 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can I do all of that thing?
Right.
How would I do it? And sometimes it's not about physically doing anything. It's like just working through the mechanics of it.
Right.
Of like, how could I get this into a 5-minute thing?
Right.
So that's probably the second one that I spend pretty much all day asking.
Mm-hmm.
Because I get up to get coffee, I get up to do some, fix lunch, I get up to fix dinner, I'm waiting on like something for dinner.
Right.
What can I do in 5 minutes?
Right.
So I try to ask myself that one a lot. That one usually gives me a lot of like weird like rushes and like endorphin rushes, like when I
Yeah.
find something new I can do in 5 minutes or less.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd never thought that would possibly be something I could do that efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, it again may not be beyond reproach, but it's better than it was.
Right.
And holy shit, I never thought that would take 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that
The
works
third
really
one I'm
good
gonna
too.
have to work on.
Yeah. I often do, what do I need right now? What brings me joy? And what beat do I need? Like, do I need thumpa thumpa? Do I need, to have a complete, maybe some slow country, or do I just need to go balls to the wall, throw on some Nickelback, and roll? That brings my mood up. And also, one that the author points out is, what motion do I need?
Ooh, fun one.
Yeah. All right, so let's grab some Reddit.
All right, shoot me some Reddit.
Let's ask if you're the asshole this week.
All right. Dun 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 dun.
Right.
See what you can find there. That has been one of the hardest subs to go through recently.
And I know it's one of our favorites, but I think
it used to be so great.
Yeah, it used to be amazing, but I think that I don't know if a bot has took it over or if anyone is just like throwing shit in there.
Yeah, it's something.
Right.
Like I just keep wanting to be like, am I the asshole? Yes, am I the asshole? You are the asshole. You're not giving us anything good anymore.
Yeah.
Like, try again.
Right.
Like literally everyone is shitty here.
Yeah, and that's kind of like it is.
I know, right? Like every once in a while they have a good one.
Right.
But I don't know. It's gotten overcrowded, overused, over something.
High schoolers, alphas have decided it because it's a lot of school questions. Am I the asshole for not having alcohol? Am I the asshole for bitching at my roommate's mama for pounding on my door while I was taking care of my boyfriend?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I feel like they used to be so much more involved.
Yeah, we did. All right, so we ain't finding nothing there. We're just going to go over to psychic or real witch, and we'll do that this segment, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Pop it in the driveway.
Okay.
So sorry. I guess I am the asshole this week because am I the asshole is the asshole this week.
Exactly.
Sorry for anyone who wanted to vote that. I mean, I
Right.
guess you could, but there's no poll.
Right.
We'll just pretend you all agreed.
Well, I think that we may do a poll with this one because I want to talk about this one, and we may end up talking about another one. But let's take this one because it's really short, but it's also very, topically.
Okay. All right. So what do we got? Oh, from our psychic. Why do people not use psychic abilities to solve crime? A girl went missing recently, and my first thought, as a person into spirituality, was why aren't there more people who turn to remote viewing and astral projecting to find missing people? Wouldn't that be extremely helpful?
Yeah. And here's the thing. We do. You're never going to see my name in a news story. Not for that.
Yeah, well, and there are a lot that will be involved, become involved. They don't do it for fame or anything else. They do it to literally just help.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, but I think there's also a push the other direction sometimes.
There is.
I think there are those who legitimately try their very best to stay out.
Yeah. And there's a lot that do not want to deal with it. There's some that have processes like me. Victim's family, no, you're not going to contact me. You're going to have the officer of your case contact me. I'm going to give him the name of the PI I work with. The officer will deal with the PI will deal with me, with the understanding that, A, my name's never mentioned. Never. I don't want to be known for that. I don't want to be taking the focus off of the victim, the police force, any of that that's going on.
Mm-hmm. So if there's any useful information to be found,
right,
that's how it'll happen. But no, I think it is important on the other front that there are people that have the ability,
right,
in terms of, are their psychic abilities able to do this? Yes, they are. Do they want to involve themselves,
Right.
even if they never say anything to anyone else? Do they personally want to handle and deal with the thoughts, feelings,
Hmm.
images, etc., of various criminal acts?
Right.
Because most of the crimes that end up being used for psychic ability, or where psychic ability is used, or would be sought out,
Right.
these are not grandma got her purse stolen.
Right.
It's usually far
Right.
worse. And that is a lot to ask any human being.
Hmm.
Because please keep in mind, there are that many officers find the job very distressing
Right.
and leave.
Yeah. But that's also why, like, I have my process in place so that I can go in, do the reading, do the remote viewing, do what I need to do, get the fuck out, and be done with it. That's also why I don't keep client records. I don't remember what I say in the readings. I've trained myself not to hold that information, hold that energy, because I don't want it.
Yeah. Well, and that's a very important part of it too, and I don't think that gets talked about enough. Is
Right.
like, you really are entering someone's energy stream. Thought experiment, try imagining what that energy would feel like
Right.
if you committed horrible, horrible, horrible crimes that we're
Right.
not going to mention on air.
Right.
But just thought experiment your way through
Right.
where you would be emotionally
Right.
for someone to connect, or on the other side of that, to be the victim in a horrible, horrible, horrible crime situation,
Right.
and what you would be going through,
Hmm.
and imagine connecting to it.
Right.
And then, like, I don't know, you have to go cook dinner.
Hmm.
Then you have to go take a client call and deal with their divorce.
Hmm.
Or you have to go and do whatever rest of life thing. That's what you're fundamentally, you're not wrong,
Hmm.
but realize what you're asking.
Right.
That would be my whole point, is realize what you're asking.
Right. And realize, it's kind of like if you go onto a network, there is probably, I don't know, 200, 300, 400 readers. Yeah, you really don't want 400 of us walking in, looking at the crime scene, leaving an energy trail, just like anyone that walks into a crime scene and leaves DNA. 300 of us doing it. And then 300 of us tracking a killer, and 300 of us tracking a family, and by the time, just imagine 300 people walking through your house with shoes on after it's rained outside.
Mm-hmm. It's really helpful if you get in, peer in the door, don't set a foot in, peer in the door, see the thing, walk away.
Yes.
Like, don't linger.
Yeah.
Don't
get in, get out.
Rifling through drawers.
Mm-hmm.
In, out, done.
Right.
There we go.
All right. So we do have another one. This is from Real Witchcraft, and after that, we're going to wrap this up.
All right. So from Real Witchcraft, need some advice. We angered our used to be friendly ghost. A little background: we run a restaurant out of a heritage home with a tenant upstairs. One day I caught a male ghost out of the corner of my eye. I brought this to my husband's attention, and he proceeded to tell me the ghost's name and that he hangs around the house all the time because he was the man who originally built the house. Would have been nice if my husband dropped that bomb before I saw the ghost, but here we are. One night, he wanted me to meet the man again. This is clearly not what he wanted, and I could feel it. I looked into the man who built the house through the heritage records. The apparition definitely fits his likeness. Since then, we have had leaks in the place, reports of people being too freaked out to go into the basement, never an issue before. The tenant has seen him walking through her apartment and moving things as well. I told my husband to offer him some scotch and apologize for disturbing him, but things just keep getting worse. Some of the staff now see him, and we have had guests acting very strange, picking random fights to the point where police were called. This is his home, and I think his wife may be upstairs, according to the tenant. So I'm not looking to banish the poor guy, just appease him. I do not want to go toe to toe with a ghost. Any thoughts?
Something's wrong. You're not seeing something he is. Be it electrical, be it water, be it services, something is wrong. You've not angered him. He's bringing your attention to something. And apparently it's the basement. So that tells me water, sewer, or gas.
Well, they apparently do have leaks.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, are you having leaks because that's part of the problem or part of the message?
Yes. Probably part of the problem. Because if you remember, when we redone the bathroom, Dad was active as fuck. He was active. Let's see. The contractor left we don't know what in the wall. Part of his tool bag. If not all of his tools.
Yeah, we know there's at least an electrical meter.
Voltage meter.
Yeah, voltage meter is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Voltage meter that has been sealed up in our wall.
Yeah.
And we don't know what all else, because he apparently came up missing some stuff. But by the time that contractor left, he left us with a lot of tools.
Yeah.
Like sawhorses, I think ladder, lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm not talking cheap lighting. It was a nice lighting rig.
Yeah.
And he just would not come back for them.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I did find it funny that I have never seen someone fight so hard in all my life to set up a ground fault circuit interrupter.
Mm-hmm.
That poor GFCI outlet, I thought that poor boy was going to lose his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because it did everything but stay on.
Right.
It was like a comedy sketch where every time you turn the light on, it turns off.
Right.
It was just back and forth, back and forth,
back and forth. Uh-huh. But yeah, every time, like, I expect when I put up my wall in my office, something will come up missing. Cigarettes will get used that shouldn't be getting used. We're going to fix a plumbing issue. Something, thanks to Dad.
Yes. So I mean, look,
like, pay attention.
Listen to the message. Listen, like, try to listen to the message. Mm-hmm. You may have to consider bringing someone in to, like, spell it out for you. Do not use a Ouija board.
No.
But do consider bringing someone in to just spell the message out. Like, what is he pissed off about?
Or what is he trying to get attention to? I think it has something to do with the chimney.
If you build a house
mm-hmm.
and there's problems in it, I will tell you right now, he is pissed off.
Uh-huh.
Like, there's no one that has ever built a house that then has problems that is not then pissed off.
Right.
Like, this is my baby. Stop abusing it.
Right. Go fix this. Right. Ghosts are probably, that would be kind of cool if we could get a psychic medium building inspector. Oh. That may be a new business.
Oh, psychic medium mediated building inspections.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. That could be fun. That could also go on to such a side rail, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the building's fine, but you want to know some gossip.
Exactly.
Oh, that would be horrible. I don't want it. No. Although I would love to get someone to explain the Oddfellows building in Charleston, West Virginia to me.
Okay, what do you want to know about the temple?
Why I kept trying to literally off myself every time I tried to go to the elevator.
Because you kept trying to go to the stairs.
That weren't there.
Exactly. That is called a building imprint. It's like, how many times did we walk around the secretary that was no longer there?
Oh, yeah, you did it forever and didn't even know why. I knew why I did it.
Yeah.
There was a piece of furniture in that spot for like 2 decades of my life. I knew what I was walking around.
Mm-hmm.
I
Now,
knew what I was walking around.
right, so that's 2 decades. Imagine 200 years where a staircase is.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it was just like the building always felt like a mirror image to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was built backwards.
It was renovated backwards.
Well, okay, potentially. I don't know. Like it just felt like there was something about that hallway that
Mm-hmm.
it's like what it was like looking in. And when I say it was like a mirror image, I mean it's like when you're trying to use a mirror,
Mm-hmm.
like backing up a car, whatever, and you have to learn to do the opposite because
Mm-hmm.
everything's reversed.
Right.
I felt like that walking through that building is everything's fucking backwards.
Right.
It doesn't, it like my brain wants to do things in this building that are flip opposite.
Right. And that's
And I'm just
because they
saying,
renovated the building multiple times. And when they did, they removed the staircase that went up the side. They removed, they added walls that didn't belong. They broke up the road. Like that floor used to be the temple floor for the Rebeccas. Then they put offices and stuff in it.
I'm just saying, it was a totally screwed up building.
It was.
Like, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's a really pretty building, like, especially the entryway and all that. It's a really pretty building. It will screw with your head.
Yes. Yes, it will.
Like, it's backwards.
Yep. Right.
All right. Brenda's making the attempt to explain the rules for getting a free question in the Psychic Coffee Shop.
Yes. And, we've moved our shows. The Psychic Coffee Shop is on Wednesdays. New breaks are being made so that it shows it on Wednesdays. And Mountain Bears is on Saturdays, both at 8 p.m.
Yes.
Point blank.
We're now
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Yes. Both are at 8 p.m. Both are on Wednesday and Saturday. Both is exactly no later than 9:30 because I have to jet out to go do another thing. That's how it's going to go.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Brenda. You're great.
Right.
We totally appreciate. So all righty.
All righty.
End of the road.
All right. So we've reached it. Let's rock.
All right. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, and Bella. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. And we will see you on Saturday. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
I don't have to do that